Hey everybody, welcome back to the Junkyard Dog Report. And first off, happy Thanksgiving, of course, great holiday, great day. I'm going to chow down on some turkey later. Going to head over to my uncle's house after this video probably and, have a good time. So I hope all you Cavs fans out there also have a great Thanksgiving. And Jared Allen, he also said happy Thanksgiving. So, sending it out there. Just be thankful this holiday season that we do get to spend time with our families because, like DG said about his Thanksgiving plans were go to Milwaukee. That's the only thing I can do. So, we're lucky to not have to be in the NBA and deal with the trouble of... Is this not working? The trouble of traveling on the holidays. So there's that. And, I just want to start off this video by saying that this was probably the best Cavs game, arguably, of the season. Now, I started making these videos around the time of the 5-game skid, so I don't know if we did do this during the 8-game winning streak, but I do know that over this 4-game winning streak, this game against the Blazers last night was the only one where we won every single quarter. And I mean, I know that might not seem like much, like as long as we win the game. The Heat, we didn't win every quarter because in garbage time they went on a little run. But I mean, still, problem that has been persistent with this team throughout the season is that they don't play Cavaliers basketball for 48 minutes. And I mean, every single game, it's like ever since the Hornets game, which the Hornets game was up and down, we saw spurts of Cavaliers basketball and, spurts of pretty bad basketball to let them back in the game, up 10 with 45 seconds left. But the confidence they got from that win, they carried on to the game against the Heat. And they played better in that game with more intensity and effort on the defensive end. And, that team had a lot of injuries, and LaMelo wasn't playing for the Hornets as well. So those were 2 games that were great for us to get our confidence up and learn that we do need to have that intensity and effort on both sides of the floor for all 48 minutes. I think that Hornets game was a great learning experience for this team. What happens when you don't play with that intensity and effort for 48 minutes? You go to double overtime with a team that you shouldn't be going to double overtime against. And so the confidence they gained from those 2 games went into what they did against the Hawks, other than that 33-point quarter they allowed in the second in that game, and what they did last night against the Blazers, which was win every single quarter, which was great. So let's get into it. We're going to start off talking about Drippy Dean Wade was back last night, which was great. He's, in my opinion, he's a very important rotation player for us because he doesn't just bring a good 3-point shooter or a guy who's a solid passer of the ball or a guy who can rebound. He's bringing a guy who's 6'10" with his wingspan who can move like he can, which is huge for our team on both ends of the floor. So I think he's going to factor in a lot for this team going forward. I mean, when Kevin Love comes back, his role might be diminished, but I feel like he's a guy that when we come to the playoffs is going to be interesting to see, because when we're playing the Celtics earlier in the year in overtime, Dean Wade finished the game on JB, like to close it out on that last possession. He was on Jaylen Brown. So Dean Wade is going to be a guy who, when the playoffs come around, is probably going to play based on matchup. So, definitely a guy to pay attention to. Also, something cool, the Cavs are the highest scoring backcourt duo in the NBA with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. I've been saying it, off camera. I haven't said it here yet. Best backcourt in the East. I've been saying it a lot this year with my friends. Probably should have been saying it more here too, but it is what it is. Also, we have the most efficient pick and roll duo in the NBA in Jared Allen and Donovan Mitchell. And I've talked about this before, about why I believe Donovan Mitchell's so comfortable with Jared Allen. Going from playing with a guy like Rudy Gobert to playing with a guy like Jared Allen, offensively, they play like very similar. Jarrett and Rudy both rely heavily on the pick and roll. Well, not rely. I don't think Jarrett relies on the pick and roll as much as Rudy Gobert, but they're both very good at setting hard screens at the top so they can get open underneath for easy baskets. Jarrett is more physical than Rudy, offensively at least, in my opinion. So I think that also helps. And what Jarrett had to say about being the most efficient pick and roll duo with Don was it's because every time we talk about what we do in the pick and roll, we have discussions back and forth. We try to figure out what works best and what to do to score. And, I mean, it just speaks to the way this team works. Constant communication. It's almost like a family dynamic where anyone can speak up at any time as long as it's for the good of the group. And, I mean, hopefully they keep it up, you know. Efficiency is king, especially when you got four guys like our big four who can all make a huge impact on the game when they touch the rock. And, I mean, something I wrote in my notes to start the first was this is the first game in a little while where our first possession wasn't a silly turnover. And I know that's kind of nitpicking a little bit and stuff like that, but it's just something that's, you know, while I'm taking notes watching the game, it's like I know for a fact against the Heat and the Hawks, I'm not sure if against the Hornets it happened, but against the Heat and the Hawks, we had a silly turnover on our first possession of the game. And, I mean, that can't happen, you know. That's not a good way to start the game. You want to come out hot. You want to come out putting the pressure on the other team. So you don't want to be giving them the ball right away. And, I mean, it is what it is. Our defense was fantastic in that first quarter. I mean, the Blazers did make a lot of tough shots, so definitely give them credit for that. But I mean, it is what it is. It's just you know, sometimes great defense can be beat by better offense, and sometimes those guys just make those shots with those heavy contests, and there's nothing you could do about it other than keep playing. And something I thought was interesting was Evan Mobley was on Josh Hart for this game, and Lamar Stevens was the one taking Jeremy Grant. Now, maybe it was because last year Jeremy Grant absolutely torched us at the end of the year with the Pistons. I don't know if Jeremy was specifically torching Ev in that game because I wasn't taking notes at the time then like I am now. But, I mean, I like the move, to be completely honest with you. I think Evan Mobley is arguably our best perimeter defender overall on this entire team. I don't even think it's arguably, to be completely honest. The way he moves his feet and uses his size and length to cover guys on the perimeter, I think that he can take the best wing player on the opposing team every night if that's what he needs to do. And I think Lamar Stevens is a guy who has honestly thrived covering bigger guys. Now, Jeremy did play well last night. He scored like 21 points. But, I mean, it beats the 38 or 40 he scored against us last time we played him last year. So I'll take that, to be honest with you. And something else in this game, we went on a good amount of runs. Like, we went on a 7-0 run in 1 minute from like 5:45 to like 4:45 in the first quarter. The defense was on fire. Jared Allen, at the very end of the first quarter, he made a great play, great effort, great hustle to get the ball and get fouled with a fraction of a second left to go to the free throw line to get a couple more points for us. And we won the first quarter 28-21, which is, you know, that's good. A 7-point lead, almost double digits. I'll take that. The thing is, Darius Garland started off the game very cold, which is something we haven't been used to seeing. Like against the Hawks, he was a flamethrower in that first quarter, but in this first quarter against the Trailblazers, he was 1 for 6. So, I mean, he got it going. He literally started off the second quarter with a 3. And I even wrote in my notes, DG makes 3 to start the quarter. Hopefully it gets him going, which it did. He made his first 2 threes of the quarter, his first 2 shots of the quarter after going 1 for 6. And, I mean, we went on a 15-0 run in the first minute and a half of the quarter. And, I mean, somebody on the Blazers hit a 3 to snap that run. But, I mean, I believe it ended being a 17-3 run. But, I mean, you know, not much. Or, no, it ended up being a 21-3 run. Sorry, my bad. And it was continuing on from the first quarter. So we finished the first quarter on a 9-0 run. We started the second quarter on a 12-3 run, which was great. I mean, the Blazers had 10 turnovers with 8:16 left in the second. And the league average for turnovers a game is 14. So our defense was definitely got them out of sorts, which was great to see. I mean, the Blazers made 2 threes during the first half of that quarter, right? They didn't make their first non-3 until 6 minutes and 30 seconds left in the second. That was their first bucket. Not just in the paint. It was in the paint. It was a layup, but it wasn't. It's not just. I'm not. Sorry, just 1 second. Not just in the paint, but like inside the 3-point line. Like no middies, no foul line jump shots, nothing from the elbow, nothing inside the paint for 5.5 minutes in the second quarter. I think that was the best defensive stretch of Cavaliers basketball this season. They absolutely locked them down. Like the Blazers didn't even look like they belonged on the same court with them the first half of that quarter. I'll be honest. Maybe it's an over-exaggeration because I'm biased for my Cavs, but whatever. But the problem was after that was for the next minute and 30, the Blazers went on a 7-0 run. We gave back what we took. We went on a 12-3 run to start the quarter. They go on a 7-0 run. Now it's 12-10 in the quarter. You know, that's not something that should be happening. And maybe it's that the fat cat mindset that JB was talking about after the Bucks game. But, I mean, the team did respond. Lamar Stevens ended that run with a nice corner 3. That was huge. Jared Allen got a steal, passed up to Lamar, who got a 3-point play. Donovan Mitchell hit a 3 and then got a steal. I mean, it could have been better. You know, we started off the quarter on a 12-3 run, and we finished the second quarter, winning the second quarter, only 29-27. So we only won by 2 points. But something that should be accounted for is our bench only had 3 points in the first half. Now, that's not something I'm happy with. I think our bench did not do what we're accustomed to seeing them do last night. And I don't really place the blame on any of them because I feel like in a lot of the situations, they were willing passers when they had to be. Maybe it just didn't show up on the stat sheet, but, I mean, it is what it is. Also, Evan Mobley was not nearly as involved offensively as he should have been in the first half. Only 2 points, 1 for 1 from the field. I mean, you know, for a guy that is supposed to be, as Darius Garland called him, Darius Garland said this is his team. I mean, he is only 21. He is coming into his own. And, I mean, the thing about Ev that's great is that he will do whatever it takes to win. And if that means him only taking 1 shot in the first half, he'll do it. But, I mean, I'm putting this more on his teammates to feed him more. And they did the job in the third quarter. Evan was 2 for 5 in the third quarter in just 4 minutes and 5 seconds. So they definitely got him involved more in the second. I mean, the third quarter was a little back and forth action. I mean, we had Anthony Simons in check the entire first 3 quarters, but Nurkic scored 10 points in the first 5 minutes and 55 seconds of the quarter of his 17 total at the time. But Anthony Simons, this is a huge bright spot in my opinion. Bright spot and a not so bright spot for how it went in the fourth quarter. But I mean, good players are just going to do what they do. Anthony Simons was 2 for 12 with 3 minutes left in the third, so we were giving him a really hard time. And I mean, the ball movement was great. Jarrett Allen was really physical inside, giving Nurkic a hard time, which was great to see. And Darius Garland was, in the last few games, not that he hasn't been making those passes that he usually makes, because he has been. He's been getting more hockey assists. I feel like last night he was getting more of the assists we're used to seeing him get last year, where his pass led directly to a basket. And that's nothing against him. He just runs the offense the way it's supposed to be run, whether he has to get the hockey assist, which means he's passing to somebody who passes to somebody else and the person he first passed who gets the assist, or he gets the assist by just passing the guy who's open and he gets the bucket. So great to see that Darius Garland had 9 of the 15 Cavs assists when the third quarter ended. But what I said for halftime, the bench only had 5 points total after the third, meaning they had 3 points at half. They scored 2 in the third quarter. And, well, I'll talk more about that at the end of the game. So let's go to the fourth. The fourth quarter started with a possession I loved, where we got a third chance bucket from DG, made a 3 in the corner, because Evan Mobley got 2 offensive rebounds. So we had 3 opportunities to start the third and score. Something I wrote was, I want more Jarrett Allen mid-range shots, because, I mean, he's honestly been making them this year. And when bigs are backing off him that much and, helping in the paint, I mean, he can just take that shot, and when it's going in, he's going to pull that big out the paint and have that big pressing on him, leaving lanes open for a guy like DG or Donovan, who thrives going to the rim. So more Jarrett Allen middies would be nice. Darius Garland caught fire after the first quarter. Well, yeah, he caught fire. He was 7 for 12 in the in total at one point in the fourth. I don't have the time written here, unfortunately, since his 1 for 6 start, so that was good. Evan had a lot of effort on the offensive rebounds, which was great to see. He always does, but I mean, specifically last night, he was getting a lot of offensive rebounds, which was great. Something that wasn't good about this fourth quarter, and I alluded to this before about Anthony Simons going for 2 for 12 through 3 quarters, was he caught fire in the fourth. He had 14 points in the first 7.5 minutes of the fourth, which is not good. And the Blazers went on an 11-2 run at one point, which was rough because, I mean, we had a 20-point lead in that fourth quarter, our biggest lead of the game, and they went on that 11-2 run and they cut it to 9. So, I mean, I was worried that it was that fat cat mentality that we were like, oh yeah, we have this in the bag, and the team just sat back and was gonna give this one up like they did the Hornets. Well, they didn't give up the Hornets game, but they almost did. But the team responded right away. A 4-0 run in the minute after the timeout for the 11-2 run. A 6-0 run. 20 seconds later, they got another bucket. Let's see. Nurkic snapped the 6-0 run with a second chance bucket and a free throw for a 3-point play. Then Jarrett alley-oop to Ev to get the run to. Oh wait, well we got a 3 after that, so it was a 9-3 run. But after that, Jarrett Allen ooped to Evan Mobley for an 11-3 run and got him a double-double. And what Jarrett had to say about that was, let's see. Sometimes things come around in a good way. I finally got him a lob, and we got the job done. That's what he had to say about Ev getting that double-double. And what DG had to say about Ev's double-double was, I mean, that's our team. Everybody just wants everybody to succeed, and Donovan definitely messed up his double-double for the last time, so I'm glad he got it this time. And, I mean, that's just the way this team is. It's all about team, and they all play for each other, which is great. And, I mean, this team brought the fight last night. So the 11-3 run happened, and then the benches emptied with 1 minute and 34 seconds left, and the reserves kept that energy up. I believe Okoro got a 3-point play on a layup, and the Blazers reserve scored some buckets. So we finished the game on a 14-5 run. Great fight, especially after choking a 20-point lead to make it a 9-point lead. Having that fight to respond, and not just respond in some small way, to respond with a commanding run to close out the game and empty the benches with 1.5 left, rather than fighting for maybe overtime or trying to win by 1 in regulation, which probably would have happened a few games ago, is great to see. So I want to get into some quotes. Post-game press conferences were a little different because of Thanksgiving. They didn't do the conventional ones, but I got some quotes from Jared Allen and Darius Garland for you guys. So what Jared had to say about the 4-0 homestand was, just the night in, night out, we came in here with consistent energy to compete, and we got the job done. And about the 7-1 home record on the season so far it's really the fans. And, honestly, they give us the energy to come out there and play defense and play our hearts out. And, I'm watching here in New Jersey, and the fans, they bring that energy every night, and I can see that from here. And, it's electric. So shout out to all you Cavs fans in Cleveland. Keep it up, because, I can feel the electricity through the screen from here in that building, and it's great to see. And it's great to see our guys feeding off that energy and getting wins out of it. So keep it up over there. Keep it up for me, please. I'd really appreciate it. What Jarrett said, Serena Winters asked Jarrett what his strength was currently, and I love his answer. And what he said was, honestly, it's my teammates getting me the ball. I don't bring the ball up and dribble in Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell. They keep finding me every time, and I'm delivering. And, it's true. Jarrett's not a guy who takes it up the court or handles a lot, so he gets a lot of his buckets off of assists from other guys, and mostly from Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. 5 of Darius Garland's 12 assists were to Jared Allen last night. So, when his most efficient pick and roll duo in the NBA, like I said earlier, Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen. So he gets most of his buckets from those guys feeding him at the right time. So definitely got to keep that up, because our team looks different when he's dominating inside with his physicality. So that's great. What Jared had to say about so when Jared Allen wears the mic, the Cavs are 2-0 this year. So what J.A. had to say about that was, must be a Thanksgiving miracle. And what Jarrett said he was thankful for was, because they asked him, because when he was mic'd up during the game, he gave all of us a challenge at home. He said, turn to the people next to you and tell them what you're thankful for. So Serena Winters asked him that same question, what are you thankful for? And he said, well, first, I'm thankful for all my teammates giving me energy, and I'm really thankful for these fans that come out every single night to cheer us on. So like I said before, Cleveland, keep that up. Keep that same energy, because our team needs it. And, it's working. We're 7-1 at home. So keep it up, Cleveland. And what DG had to say about the 4-0 homestand and the 7-1 record overall at home was our defense. Our defense really carried over these last 4 games, trying to protect the paint. And, that leads to easy offense. So that's how we just get our rhythm. And when asked to elaborate more on what stands out defensively, he said, we're starting to get physical. Yeah, we just getting real physical and blowing up a lot of screens. We getting back home. And, yeah, protect the paint is definitely our number one goal. So I think that we're doing that really well. And something about that, I've been talking about this a lot in my videos, is that the Cavs struggle with stopping three-point shooting bigs. And I think that's just something that's going to persist throughout the season because like Darius Garland said in that quote, our number one priority defensively is to protect the paint. No easy baskets. So, I mean, we'll use Anthony, Nurkic, DG, and Jared Allen as an example here to explain why I think this problem will persist. So let's say DG sets a bad angle. I'm not saying he's a bad defender, but in this scenario, DG sets up with a bad angle that gives Anthony an easy blow by to the rim, right? DG still has to stay with Anthony to make that bucket as difficult as possible if Jared Allen can't make it. And Jared Allen has to bail on Nurkic and run right to the rim. So let's say Jared gets there in time and is able to get in Anthony's way, right? What is Anthony going to do? He's going to dish to the corner or wherever Nurkic is standing at the three-point line, and Nurkic is going to shoot. And I was thinking about solutions to this problem, and I was thinking, oh, why not just send the smaller guy, so DG in this situation, out to the three-point line to contest Nurk? And, I mean, this wouldn't work because if DG is bailing on Anthony, then Jarrett will not have enough time to get to the rim and stop Anthony from making a layup. So I think the Cavs are just willing to live with big men shooting threes because at the end of the day, what's more likely to go in, a layup or a three-point shot from a big man? And I know it's a positionless league, and most of the bigs nowadays can shoot, but I think we're willing to live with that 35-40% chance of the three going in rather than probably the 60% plus chance of the layup going in. So I think that's just something that's going to persist, something that is probably the biggest weakness in our defense, something that I think the only team in the East that could really, well, there are multiple teams in the East that could exploit this, but I think specifically the Sixers are the team that could exploit that because I think Joel is a fantastic three-point shooter. PJ Tucker has made a career off of shooting threes. We've talked about this before too. Brook Lopez, he killed us last week. He scored 29 points against us shooting threes. And then you got Al Horford on the Celtics, who can also go off for threes. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. I'm curious to see if JB will do anything to try to combat it at all. It's something that I've definitely been toiling over in my mind over and over again, trying to find a solution myself. But, I mean, at the moment, I don't have anything. I'll get back to you guys if I do put something together, but as of right now, I think we're just going to continue to play defense this way because it's kind of how we've played defense the last few years. And I mean, it was easier when we had Markkanen because he could also, you could have two guys collapse the paint and still have a 7-footer on the perimeter. But, I mean, we don't have him anymore, so we can't rely on that. I mean, I think that's just going to be the weakness of our defense just throughout this whole core's run here, unless we can figure something out. I don't know. But on to the next quote. They asked DG who was leading with the physicality, and DG said, "I think Lamar is leading it, to be honest with you. He's setting that tone for us on the defensive end, and I think it's just wearing off on everybody else." And Lamar Stevens, I've said it. If I've said it 100 times, I could say it 1,000 more. Lamar Stevens is the quintessential junkyard dog. He gives everything every time he steps on the court. And, I mean, it's just great to see that guy get rewarded for all his hard work, especially being in the starting lineup now. And what DG had to say about Jared Allen's huge game last night was, played huge. he had a big assignment with Nurk, and I think that he played really well, and he was really physical tonight. I mean, he got the ball rolling on the defensive end for sure for us. And what DG had to say about Jarrett being mic'd, which I thought was absolutely hilarious, was, yeah, I know that he was the police tonight. He gave us a little alert before we went out. I mean, this team's funny, you know. They crack great jokes. I enjoy watching their press conferences. Part of the reason I started doing this, I mean, I watch every game. I watch every press conference, you know. Might as well share my knowledge with those of you who don't have the time to watch those things. So, moving on. What DG had to say about the difference from last week, which was the 0-5 skid, versus this week with the 4-0, you know, 4-game win streak. And what DG had to say was defensive identity definitely changed over this last week. I think we're starting to get back to it. I think we started to play more physical and getting more stops on the defensive end, which is leading to offense. And I mean, something I think was the number one catalyst for this team getting back to defense was the way they finished that Hornets game. It was in double overtime, and we finished that game on a 12-2 run. 12-2 was the score in that second overtime. But the thing is, that second overtime started with an Oubre steal and finish on the other end, a little fast break. So we finished that game on a 12-0 run, and that entire 12-0 run was done by our defense. I think that was a great learning experience because in that first overtime, the Cavs saw what happened when they just played offense, and they were just fighting, clawing, scratching to get, you know, to stay in the game and not lose in that overtime when the defense wasn't on point. In that second overtime, the defense led the way, and we won the second overtime 12-2. So I think that learning experience on top of what happened the next game against the Heat and the next game against the Hawks and this game against the Blazers is going to keep this team focused on the defensive end and locking down that side. So, I mean, they're definitely getting more confidence closing, and what DG had to say about that was, I mean, we've been in so many close games coming down the stretch, so I think we started to get used to it for sure. And, I mean, I think during that 5-game skid, we were also in a lot of close games, and then one quarter would just absolutely derail the whole game. So, you know, I think it was important for this team to learn to keep the intensity and effort on the defensive end no matter what's happening. And also, I feel like everyone is just more engaged during this 4-0 win streak compared to the 0-5 streak. I feel like everyone's more engaged on both sides of the floor. Not saying that guys weren't engaged beforehand, but like specifically a guy like Isaac Okoro, who I feel like used to, you know, focus on defense and just be like, okay, it's break time whenever we were on offense, versus now where he's super engaged on both sides of the ball, and it feels like his focus is never lacking when it felt like before, right, he would come check in. If we were playing defense first possession, he was super locked in. Then we go play offense, and he wasn't, and then he'd, you know, sit in the corner, probably not touch the ball, and jog back on defense and not be as engaged in the game as he was on that first possession. So that's definitely been huge. What DG had to say about Jarrett knowing what's coming, especially defensively, was, yeah, I mean, everybody says he's a defensive player of the year caliber player. I mean, our team thinks the same of him. And I mean, just having agility and a 7-footer like that, I mean, it helps a lot. So, I mean, it's super cool. I mean, J.A. is super smart. So, I mean, he just sees everything early, and he just knows everything, like, really early. So, he sees it and just reacts really quickly. So, it's good to see. So, I mean, Jarrett, we all know, a really smart player, you know. Not trying to be offensive, but definitely a nerd off the court. In a good way, though. He's the man. So he's a really smart guy, and he knows what's coming. I've compared this team to the I believe is the 03-04 Pistons many times, that team that won a championship. And I think the biggest similarity to that team is probably Jared Allen to Ben Wallace and the way they anchor the defense in the paint. So, I mean, Jarrett, being as smart as he is, definitely helps on that side of the ball, specifically seeing what play is being run, knowing what's coming before it even comes, so he can be in position to get a key stop or key rejection, deter somebody from even coming into the paint. Things like that are huge. So definitely good to see, like DG said. And what DG had to say about the dynamic offense with Donovan Mitchell being added, he said, I mean, it's a problem. You got to pick your poison. And I mean, just having a guy like that that's just super dynamic and just gets everybody involved. I mean, it's super cool just to have on this team. Makes basketball a lot easier for all of us. And I feel like Donovan Mitchell does make basketball easier for this team because he takes a lot of the pressure off of DG. When Darius Garland is not on the court, Don runs the show at point guard, and he's been great feeding the bigs this year. I mean, he only had like 1 assist last night, but I feel like that's probably one of the only times that's happened this season. Most of the times he's getting 6+ assists in a game. And he also draws a lot of defensive attention because the man is a flamethrower. You know, he just makes buckets. So a lot of attention is drawn his way. But like DG said, you pick your poison, right? So if a lot of attention is going Don's way, then maybe DG is open. Or if the attention is on the backcourt, then the front court and Jared Allen and Evan Mobley are going to step up. But if you want to stop those guys in the paint, then you got to deal with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell dancing outside the three-point line and making buckets. So, I mean, this team is great, very well-rounded. And speaking of which, we're going to go to the Big Four versus the rest. And this was a really rough game for our bench. Our bench had 10 points total in the game. And 3 of those came when the reserves were on the court after the benches were emptied with 1:34 left in the game. So not too good. But let's just get into the comparison. So the Big Four had 92 points, and the rest had 22, 12 of which came from starter Lamar Stevens. The Big Four had 27 rebounds, 15 of which coming from Evan Jarrett. 25 coming from Evan Jarrett. Sorry, I'm dumb. The rest had 12. The Big Four had 18 assists. The rest had 4. The Big Four had 3 steals. The rest had 1. That was Okoro. The Big Four had 3 blocks, which was all Evan Mobley. And the rest had 1, which was Okoro. And before I go into the turnovers, I do want to talk about this because this just speaks to Okoro's engagement, effort, and energy that he's had during this four-game winning streak. I mean, to have a steal and a block, like, you can have all the hustle and energy in the world and you might not get those stats, but I feel like those stats, especially when you're not a big man with blocks, shows the energy and effort you're giving on the defensive end to, you know, be able to strip the ball from somebody, to be able to block somebody when you're not 7 foot. So I definitely like the energy and effort Okoro has been bringing lately, because I feel like we didn't see that at the beginning of the year, and a lot of Cavs fans like myself were getting frustrated. You know, this guy's a top 5 pick, and we expect more from him than even we're getting right now. But for now, I'll settle for energy and effort and him giving 100% every night, because that's what we need out of him in his role. But on to the turnovers. The Big Four had 14, and the rest had 2. And, I mean, it's just, I feel like maybe the stats don't reflect how we were playing, because the ball was definitely zipping around last night, and it was definitely finding the right place every time. I mean, there was this one possession where the Cavs, max, each player took like one dribble and passed, and they were like passing it for like 20 seconds until somebody got a 3-pointer in the corner that they hit, which was, fantastic. But, it just doesn't show in the stats, especially for the bench. The bench only had 4 assists. The bench only had 10 points. I did another comparison. You know, usually I just do Big Four versus the rest. But for this game, I wanted to do Lamar Stevens versus the bench because, Lamar is a guy who was elevated from the bench to the starting lineup. And the bench had 10 points on 4 for 10 shooting. Jetty was 1 for 6 with 3 points. Okoro was 1 for 1 with 3 points. He got the 3-point play at the end of the game with the reserves in. And Drippy Dean Wade was 2 for 3 with 4 points. Lamar Stevens had 12 points. He was 3 for 5 from the field. He made some threes. He made some free throws in there too to get it to 12. But I mean, I know Lamar's that guy. He's that junkyard dog. Like, that's just who he is. He embodies the spirit of this team. But I mean, there's no reason he should be outscoring our bench. I love Lamar fadeaways, and he makes them a good deal, but there is no doubt in my mind that Jetty Osman is a guy who should be outscoring him the way he's been playing lately. And, it's not surprising that Jetty fell back down to earth after he was playing otherworldly the last few games. But, I mean, even though he didn't shoot well, he had his impact on this game just in terms of moving the ball and his energy and effort on both sides of the ball. So maybe the stats don't tell the whole the stats don't tell the whole story. Honestly, that's my opinion. The stats don't tell the whole story for this game, specifically for the bench, because they did bring that energy and they did bring that effort. There were definitely moments where the Blazers went on their runs, but we won every quarter of this game. For the first time since I started making these videos, we won every single quarter for a game, which is great to see. And, the plus minuses, they reflect that. DG was plus 26 in 35 minutes and 35 seconds. Jared Allen was plus 19 in 36 minutes and 4 seconds. Jetty Osman was plus 17 in 27 minutes and 7 seconds. Dean Wade was also plus 17 in 18 minutes and 5 seconds. Okoro was plus 16 in 20 minutes and 42 seconds. Raul Neto and Isaiah Mobley were both plus 1 in 1 minute and 34 seconds with the reserves, which is funny because Isaiah outdid Ev, who was plus 0 in 35 minutes and 6 seconds. And the only minuses were Lamar Stevens with -1 and Robin Lopez with -1. Lamar in 27 minutes and 38 seconds. Robin Lopez in 5 minutes and 11 seconds. And, that -1 for Lamar doesn't matter to me at all. Honestly, in my opinion, I feel like that was his best game with the starting lineup. Maybe he got that -1 because he was covering Jeremy Grant, and that was definitely a tough assignment for him. Not that he can't handle him, but even on plays where Lamar was playing great defense on Jeremy Grant, Jeremy was making these shots over his head. Great defense, better offense, and those things happen. We'll shoot for a new career high, or not career high, a new starting plus minus for Lamar. His current record since being put into the starting lineup this season is +1, which he got last game against the Hawks. So, hopefully, that continues to climb. Hopefully we get more pluses in that category, but I've said this before, I don't think the plus minus is a statistic that favors the way Lamar Stevens plays basketball. So the most important thing for him is to bring that grit, that toughness, that energy, and that scrap every night. So as long as he keeps that up, I feel like the pluses will start to come. So I don't think that's a big deal. Something cool is against the Hawks, we were 87% from the free throw line, 20 for 23, right? Against the Blazers, we were 87% from the free throw line, 20 for 23. And we shot 55.4% from the field, 44.4% from 3. What else can you ask for? The Cavs gave us a nice Thanksgiving treat, a little early Thanksgiving treat. And what a game, honestly. Just give this team credit for the way they fought after every Blazers run, for the way they not only answered back to every Blazers run, but started a run of their own, and a commanding one. after every Blazers run. And let's hope we can get some more defense like we did in that second quarter, where the Blazers didn't make a shot inside of the 3-point line until 6.5 minutes left in the second. So great game overall, on the up and up. Hopefully we keep this rolling when we play the Bucks on Friday, so tomorrow. And, I mean, we got to get revenge because that was the last loss on our 5-game skid. And the Bucks were a team we beat 3-1 in the season series last year. So, you know, division opponent in the East Central Division. So definitely one we want to get against Giannis Antetokounmpo, arguably the best player in the league. I mean, in that last game we played the Bucks, we were in it like for pretty much the whole way until that third quarter where they just bludgeoned us. So I think we'll put up a good fight tomorrow. I think, I want us to beat the Bucks, definitely. So I guaranteed it last time, and you know what? I'm gonna guarantee it this time too. We finished the 5-game skid against the Bucks. We're gonna continue with a 5-game winning streak against the Bucks. All right. So for any of you watching this out there, happy Thanksgiving, and until next time, just keep scrapping like a bunch of junkyard dogs.